This is Miss Rwanda 2022, and of course, we're live here on Rwanda Television and KC2 as the contestants who are currently in the bootcamp phase are going to be debating on a motion that I'm about to tell you. And of course, these contestants, as 19 of them are in the bootcamp phase, they chose between themselves who are going to be on the panel here, as they are going to be discussing about an issue that we can say is alarming in the Rwandan society as of today. So allow me to introduce to you the motion of the debate that we are going to be having just in a few minutes. And the motion states that this House would make sexual reproductive health a mandatory subject for all secondary schools in order to deal with teenage pregnancy. I repeat, this House would make sexual reproductive health a mandatory subject for all secondary schools in order to deal with teenage pregnancy. This is the motion where we are going to be having, and three on the proposition side, 3 on the opposition side, are going to be exchanging views and, power their brains down here to see how they can contribute to the Rwandan society by dealing with this issue we're talking about, teenage pregnancy. So allow me to first introduce, let me say, our panelists, or the two competing teams, starting with Team A, or the proposing team. I'll start with Kelia Ruzindana, the first speaker. Hello.
Hi.
And allow me to also introduce Darina Kayumba, the second speaker. And the third speaker is Saro Amanda.
Hi.
Thank you very much. That is our proposition side. So allow me to introduce to you the opposition side, starting with Queen Mugabeka Zindahilo. Wait for us, please. Thank you. Also, allow me to introduce Kalira Laida Franca. Hello. Also joining the opposition side is Keza Maulitier. Hello.
Hey.
And of course, these are the two teams that are going to be, let me say, battling, use this word, but in a friendly way. This is not Russia or Ukraine fighting each other. It's just a friendly debate to see how we can, all contribute to our society's, development and everything. So allow me to first set the rules or regulations of our debate today. And each of these speakers is going to be coming here to tell us their views on this issue. And of course, each speaker, in the proposition and opposition, the first speaker has 7 minutes. The first speaker has 7 minutes. The second and the third speaker on both sides, they all have 5 minutes. And in those minutes, they have 2 minutes. 2 first minutes and 2 last minutes are protected, meaning you can't, a point of correction or a point, anything can't be interrupted as they're, powering their views. So this is how we are about to go. And of course, allow me to finally get to the point of today and introduce to you the first speaker from the proposition side. Allow me to welcome Kelia Ruzindana to give us her views. Please welcome her. Hi, Kelia.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You ready?
Very ready.
Let's go.
Yes. So hi, guys. I'm Kelia Ruzindana. I'm with Sarah Amanda and the beautiful Kayumba Darina. And we are proposing this motion which states, this House would make sexual reproductive health a mandatory subject for all secondary schools in order to deal with teenage pregnancies. So I will enlighten you with the keywords, which is sexual reproductive health. So I'll let you know what it is. So reproductive health education, it includes message to encourage abstinence and promote the use of condoms and contraceptives for those who are sexually active. And another keyword is secondary schools. You're wondering why, why secondary schools? It's because these teenage pregnancies are mainly found for the age range of 15 to 19, which is the audience found in the secondary schools. And this teenage pregnancy, it's one of the major problems that we're having in Africa, including Rwanda. So as in 2018, there was recorded 19,832 cases of teenage pregnancy. So it's a big issue. Then, as we are proposing, I'll let you know why. It's because in secondary schools, that's where we find the peer pressure. That's where you have friends, you have groups, the gangs, and in those peer pressures, you can be pushed to do things that you weren't planning to do, and that can bring along these teenage pregnancies. And because they don't have inadequate information, that's why this education should be mainly based in the secondary schools to get that information. And if I have like a group of friends, I can pass that information to them, okay? And as I was talking about this peer pressure, it's because they also have this, like the groups, like they can share information which is wrong. So when this education is brought into secondary schools, then they'll be having the right and correct information, so they can have the right information and abstain. And if they can't, they can use other methods. Yes. So this is one of my points. And another point is, I will let the other speakers like introduce them. So another point that we have, it's the parental control. And we also have a point of, which is scientifically, like in secondary schools, that's where the girls mostly are able to be, the large part are able to give birth. So these are the reasons why we're proposing this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I am the first speaker from the opposing side, and my name is Mugabe Kazindahiro Queen. I am with my beautiful colleagues, Keza Maulitia and Kalila Leila Franca. And I noticed that the first speaker from the proposition side forgot to mention that we are here with the beautiful contestants. Say hi. Yeah, so I want this to be more of a discussion than a debate. So I want to engage you all into this conversation. Let's first talk about sexual reproductive health. As she said, I'm not going to go far, but let me give you a better clarification. Sexual reproductive health doesn't only focus on, how to prevent pregnancies. It also it gives you information on how your body changes, on every stage you get on with life. So yeah, I would give a better clarification. And then let me first show you statistics that we had in 2021. So we had that 23,000 girls got pregnant last year. Sad, right? Yeah, so again, last year, in 2020, we had 19,701. So you can tell that it increased, right? So yeah. To those that got pregnant, the adolescents are 5%. 3% of them are kids in secondary. And I think that's mainly the reason why they're focusing in secondary. But interesting part is 7% of them are in primary. So why should we focus on secondary schools only when 7% of girls that get pregnant are in primary? Let's not forget that the first speaker told us that mostly the age range of getting pregnant are focused in secondary schools. Can we not forget that there are 21-year-olds who are still in primary? Can we not forget that there are 18-year-olds who are still in primary, not only in secondary, but also in primary? So why are we focusing on secondary? Without going far, the motion states that this House would make sexual reproductive health, as I explained, a mandatory subject in all secondary schools in order to reduce or deal with teenage pregnancies, right? So are you all in or am I lost? Good. So let me also highlight my key points, which are sexual reproductive health, I already explained that, and secondary schools, I showed you my point of view, I'm not agreeing with secondary schools. And then, yeah, I guess it's that. And then I'm opposing this motion because I do not refute the fact that it should be given to secondary schools. But let us not deal with secondary schools. Are we not worried about our little sisters that are in primary? And I believe that putting this in primary or other, let me say, schools or classes, it starts from the roots. Like, you can tell a child in secondary that say this to a boy, but if like she has knowledge from the roots, from the primary, I think it will give her like a better shield, and then she'll know what to do and what not to do. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I had other statistics too, as of 15-year-olds to 19-year-olds, like the age range, they have kids, and most of them are found in primary schools. So I guess I make my point, and I hope you agree with me. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Darina, and I'm the second speaker from the proposition side. And first and foremost, I would like to thank the beautiful Queen Dahiro, because she literally just proved our point for us. And secondly, by continuing, the motion states that this House will make sexual reproduction health a mandatory subject for all secondary schools in order to deal with early teenage pregnancies. So, by continuing, first and foremost, let's ask ourselves why we are focusing on secondary schools in the first place. So the first reason is young girls in secondary schools are the ones that go through adolescence, that get their periods, and getting or feeling, let's say, sexual desires that they don't even understand. So, and scientifically proven, they are the ones that can literally get pregnant. So, the reason why I'm supporting the fact that there should be, or there should make sexual reproductive health subjects mandatory is because, first is, it will equip them with everything related to safe sexual practices in case they can control themselves, or second, it teaches them how to avoid sexual transmitted diseases, basically equipping them with protection techniques such as condoms or anything related to that. And I would like to also remind you a saying in Kinyarwanda that says, kwirinda biruta kwivuza. Yes. And also I would like to point on what she said, a 21-year-old in primary, that is a very rare case, and we're trying to solve issues that are existing right now, and that is found generally. So, thank you. I definitely rest my case. No, thank you. Eva.
Hello everyone. Are you good? Are you okay? Yes. Are you fine? Proposers, are you fine? Where do I start from? There's this proverb I like so much in Kinyarwanda that says, igiti kigororwa kikiri gito. Do you know about that? Why do you want to straighten up a tree that is already grown? This is why me and my team, we advocate for this mandatory to be put in primary schools. And secondly, this is why I'm here to say that parents should make it their own. Most of the youth understand more their parents than they understand the government. I personally, when the government says to go to Muganda, I understand it if my father tells me to do that more than the government says. So why shouldn't parents make it their own before it is put in secondary schools? Dear, don't you want a generation where a child doesn't have to pass through a situation to know how much it hurts? You were there when the woman from HDI say that an 11-year-old from Chirehe got pregnant, do you imagine how her life was ruined? And I am pretty sure that all those kids who have children now would have liked to have that knowledge before they got pregnant. Please, think of the generation, think of Rwanda, think of the future of the country. Don't you love the country? So we, as devoted citizens, as good citizens of the country, we advocate this. We advocate for this to be put in local authorities like ISIBO, like our sectors. That is where it should start from. Before, yes, granted, please.
Thank you. So I would like to point on something they said. We
Yes.
didn't say that we don't want the sexual reproductive health education in primary, but we said it should be mandatory in secondary schools because that's the fragile part. And those people
okay.
in secondary schools
Yes,
are
yes.
going to be the future leaders. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to answer to you by saying, is there any policy in primary that says that it should be mandatory? That is why we advocate. Please listen to what I said. We advocate for it to be put in primary. We don't have any policy that says that it is in primary unless you know it. Do you? You don't. And please, protect the country, protect the generation. We want the economy of the country to grow. So if an 11-year-old who has to grow and work for the country is now having kids, imagine, what are we working for? What are our parents, what is the government working for? That is what you are advocating for. Please, think of the country, think of the generation. You are the future generation. You are the ones that should be advocating for it to be starting in families, in homes. That is why, my dear friends, we advocate it. We advocate for it to be put in families, for parents to make it their own, not for secondary schools to be put mandatory. Thank you.
Yeah, so I wanted to address beautiful Darina. Sorry. So you said that most girls found in secondary are the ones who are probably going to get pregnant, and yet the statistics I have show that 3% of them are from secondary, and yet 7% of them are from primary. So how are you going to explain that? Please do. Thank you.
Yes, so first and foremost, I can... okay, first go. Getting pregnant. Second,
Thank you very much. My name is Amanda Saru, and I'm the third speaker from the proposition side. Let me remind you, the motion of today states that this House would make sexual reproductive health a mandatory subject for all secondary schools in order to deal with teenage pregnancies. Before I go through my points, I just want to first address to my dear honorable opponents. So first of all, our dear honorable queen just stated that we should first solve these problems for primary level. So I just wanted to tell you that we all learn what we get from our elders. And you know why primary kids just got that spirit of getting pregnant and whatever? It's just because they got that spirit from their elders in secondary schools. They are too young to think of getting pregnant than secondary kids are. I think you're with me here. Thank you. So another thing is, my dearest Khalida just said something which I want to comment about. Why should we solve the problem from its last point? I mean, if the primary kids got to be pregnant because they got that thing from their elders from the secondary school, why are you starting from the primary level? Please start from the secondary school, because they are the one who just taught, I may say taught, because they just, they got that thing from their elders, right? So going through this, I also wanted to say before this, why do you think it will be something more in families than in school? Please think about orphans. Think about parents who are active in their jobs or employments than
in families. We all have these families where there are kids, or maybe there are parents who are active in job, as in they go from work to somewhere else and they got a little time for their kids. So why do you think it could be something in families than in schools? Because I think in schools, teachers, it's their work. It's something they do from AM to PM. So why not giving that work to the teachers? Going through my points, we would ask ourselves, why secondary schools? Connecting it to the thing that you said, there is no parental control in secondary schools. We all know that. Most of the secondary schools, they are boarding, or maybe they move to other countries, which I think they aren't really in control of parents. So if a kid isn't with his or her parent, what do you expect from him or her? Maybe if she is someone or he is someone who is very exemplary, he or she will try to do something correct, but not really correct. So I think this should be done in secondary schools because there is no parental control. To go in my points, saying why is this course important? It's because it makes a difference in developing countries. We all know that this problem of early pregnancies is a problem that is mainly being faced by developing countries. So if Rwanda as a country or any other country would take this initiative of putting this course in its program, or maybe subjects to be taught, I think there will be a very huge difference in developing countries. Thank you. Accepted.
So thank you very much for accepting my point of information. So I asked your colleague a question, but she didn't get to answer it. So let me ask you instead. I stated the fact that 3% of girls that are getting pregnant are from secondary, but yet 7% are from primary. So I want you to explain that. And second, you said when kids get to secondary, they have no parental control. I refute that. I had parental control. And you touched on kids that don't have parents. We all know that Rwanda states that if a kid doesn't have a parent, is either in an orphanage or has a guardian. So please elaborate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will start with your question, the first question that you asked. You just mentioned that 7% of kids in primary, and 3% of kids in secondary. As I said before, please listen to this. I'm in primary school, and you are my elder sister in secondary school. Literally, I wouldn't do something which I didn't see from you. I can't just go out for maybe 3 hours, yet you go out for 2 hours. I cannot. So this means that what I do, it's like you are my example of what doing in this life. So I think the example should be taught to be a good example than teaching the one who copies to not copy the bad example. You get me? Thank you very much. So the second question, you just said that parental control. So you are very lucky, that in your boarding, in your secondary times, you had parental control. That is not the same case to all Rwandans, Let me not say Rwandans. I want to mention every teenage. We all know that you just stated that we know in Rwanda or maybe any other country, when a kid doesn't have a parent, he or she have a guardian or maybe someone to look after him or her. But I wanted to remind you that something that your true parent can do, don't expect it from someone who's in charge of you. What I want to mean here is there is a proverb in Kinyarwanda which states that umwana wundi abishya inkonda. Yeah, I think you know that. So I don't think something which can't be done with your parents will be done with your guardian. Thank you.
Point of information.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Names of Keza Mwalitia. Yeah, and I'm contestant number 27 in this competition of Miss Rwanda 2022. And I'm the third speaker from the opposition side. I'm sure that my colleagues have mentioned the motion in more than one case, so I'm sure you all know the motion already. So first of all, before I get to my point, I heard from my beautiful colleague Amanda who said that kids learn from their parents or from their elders. Yeah, it's actually true. Sometimes we learn from our parents good things most times, right? So she said we learn from them. So I don't really get how early pregnancies and learning from our parents connect. Like, do they get their consent before going to meet the boy who's going to get them pregnant? Do they watch them while they are having sex? I don't know. I don't really get your point, but I'll give you time to explain. So I am standing here today stating that I believe that why should we make it a mandatory? I think it's better if we could make this our culture. I believe that we Rwandans can do a better job if we actually get to grow up with this, right? I think we as Rwandans should have this thing within us that teenage pregnancy should almost be like a taboo. It should not be allowed, you know? We are beautiful Rwandans. I believe that that is a shame to our country. Exactly, we learned recently that 63 girls get pregnant per day. That's really sad here in Rwanda. So I believe that this should be our culture. As my fellow colleague said in Kinyarwanda, igiti kigororwa kikiri gito, right? So I believe this is something we should learn up front. Also, my fellow colleagues have been saying that secondary school, this is because that is where we get the emotions, the feelings, the friends, right? And I actually agree, there's lots of temptations in secondary school. But then let me just ask you guys a simple question, right? So when you guys have like an exam, do you prepare immediately? No, we don't. We do it before we do the exam, right? So you know, like they're having these emotions, these feelings. Why do it immediately then? It's too much pressure. You're teaching me to avoid from these temptations. There are handsome boys next to me. How am I going to handle all that stuff? It's too much, right? It's a lot to take in. So I believe that we could do this way before we get to the point, right? So that if I am growing, I know that, right, I'm going to go to secondary school. This is boarding where I'm going to be seeing a boy from morning to night. I should learn how I should be able to protect myself from that. You cannot just teach me as a Rwandan woman that I should learn to protect myself from sex. I am seeing hot boys. It's all at once. It's too much pressure for we girls. And that is why we have these issues, by the way. If we continue to look at one side of it and we put it only in secondary school, it's going to be really bad for us because we get pressured easily. We aren't that strong. A secondary school girl is still young. She cannot take all those emotions at the same time. So let's prepare our daughters before. Let them know which kind of road they're going towards, right? You guys agree with me? Right, thank you so much. Denied, honey. Let me first answer this. Right. So as my fellow friends said, 7% before secondary school, that is even way more sad. You say that they easily get pregnant as they're in secondary, but the statistics clearly say that these girls, most of them are younger than that. We are almost closing the bootcamp phase. We have been there for 3 weeks, and we had this speaker from HDI. I think my fellow colleague talked about it, about the 11-year-old who got kids. She's still too young. She's really young, and that is sad, you know. It shows that even young girls, young daughters can get pregnant as well, right? So I believe that if we are looking at our country, if we want to protect our young sisters, the young generation, let's start from the young age. Let's not look up front, but let's prepare them for what world they're going through. Thank you so much.
Point of information. Wow.
For the replay speech.
Whoa. I would just say this was so hot and so intense and so amazing. Did you guys see it the same way? Or, all right. So actually, as I just mentioned it before, each side have 3 minutes from now to prepare the reply speech regarding the motion, 3 minutes. And the speaker, the chosen speaker from the sides, will have 5 minutes to give out their reply speech. And as of now, I would like to give my audience space. Would anyone from the proposition side have anything to say about the motion? Anyone? Anyone from the opposition side? Okay, please come up. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You give what you have to say.
Thank you. My name is Vahenda Amanda, and I'm on the proposition side. I wanted to say that, as you said, the 7% of the ones getting pregnant still in primary, you mentioned that there are some that are 21 years old, 18 years old. But let me remind you that 18 years old is a teenage age. Yes, they might be still in primary, but still it's the age of a person who's supposed to be in secondary school. So yes, they might have been behind, but it's not everyone who is behind. So mostly it's the teenage. That's why it's called teenage pregnancy. It's teen, and teen is in secondary. Thank you.
Yeah, so you clarified about teenage, but here I'm stating the fact of putting it only in secondary schools.
Didn't say that.
So having a big number of teenage girls in secondary school doesn't remove the fact that we still have teenage girls in primary school. So please consider that. Thank you.
I would like to reply this with saying that, as she mentioned, if those kids who are 21 or maybe 18 are behind, it doesn't mean the whole country is behind. Please, as in highlight that. It means if in secondary school we are supposed to be having kids from 16 to maybe 20. So why are you just focusing on people who are still behind than people who are in a range? And I would also like to give Kelia the speech to support.
Thank you, Amanda. Queen, I don't know if you got this motion correct, but we are not saying that this subject should only be introduced in secondary. No, we didn't deny the fact that this topic can also be introduced in primary, but it should be made mandatory in secondary schools because that's where the large part of teenagers are found. And to make it clear, teenage starts from 13. Teen, okay? So 11, 21, that's not teenage. Thank you.
Some information.
Thank you very much. One last one, as we have the comment from the opposition side, and that will be it.
Protect the future generation. We are protecting the future generation. Thank you. That is our action plan.
Thank you very much, Laila. And can we have someone from the opposition side, the audience, to give us their comments about the motion? Anyone? Men from this side? All right. You got a comment? Thank you. How are you?
Fine.
Your comment, please.
Thank you. My name is Uimanzi Vanessa, and I'm contestant number 70. So my question goes to Amanda. You told Queen that some parents are busy with, heavy schedules at work, and that they don't have time for their kids. Is that correct?
She just mentioned that instead of taking that plan into schools, why not into families? Then me answering that thing, I was like, maybe those teenagers, they don't have parents which are active in families. And sincerely speaking, this is the active world that we have today.
Exactly. And you suggested that since parents are busy, they should leave that job to the teachers. So my question is, Is that correct?
I said that we can't lose it in both sides. If we
Yes,
don't
but
have
you
it
are
in
ignoring
families,
the fact that not all those children who don't get the chance to talk to their parents also go to school.
sorry, come again. Come again, please.
My question is, you told Queen that since some parents are busy at work, they should leave the job of, I don't know, parenting or advising to the teachers, but you're forgetting the fact that not all those children go to school.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question. I just wanted to answer that question saying that, let me take this example which we as youth were facing today. Why do you think there is a large number of depression in youth? It is an example. Let me link this, right? So it doesn't mean that parents don't have money to take kids to the school. It doesn't mean parents don't have that ability to take kids to their school. It means they don't get time to talk to them about their futures, talk to them about what they are about to experience in life. So if I got the question right, you just said that those kids who don't have the attention of their families or their parents don't also go to school?
No, I'm saying you're ignoring that there's some of them who don't go to school.
Thank you very much.
So how can the teachers advise
It
them?
means if I'm 15 years, I won't have a colleague who's 31. Of course, I will be having you, a 15 years old, as my friend. So if that's the case, it means if you go to school and I don't go to school, of course we will have to exchange ideas. And when exchanging ideas, it will be exchanged through those who go to school and those who don't go to school. Please allow me to welcome my support. Thank you.
Denied. I welcome my support.
All right, support. 30
yes.
seconds, please.
Okay. You are omitting the fact that I said we are not leaving all the responsibilities to the parents. This is where the point of local authorities, Isibo and Umudugudu, emerge in.
Can I answer, please?
30 seconds.
Thank you very much. So if a kid doesn't get those discussions from the parents, how is she or he going to know that there is Isibo?
That is.
Can my support go on?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
In these 30 seconds.
Have you had about 12 years of basic education? Now in Rwanda, most of the teenagers are being taken at school because of these, with the degrees. Most of them are in schools, and in those secondaries, that's where these subjects will be mandatory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelie. Thank you very much. This was just an amazing discussion. And I had just given each group 3 minutes to prepare their reply speech. And right now, I would like to welcome the representative, a chosen representative from the... No, we'll start from the proposition side. Yes, I would like to welcome the representative from the proposition side to give out their reply speech. And as the opposition side gets ready, you can see how intense it is. You're welcome from the proposition side. All right, opposition side, are you ready? Okay, you can give your reply speech, please.
Thank you very much. Since the proposition side is not ready, let me take on. I will start. I have a lot of things to say. So I will start by addressing to our beautiful Amanda. Can I get your attention, Amanda?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So you said you quoted, still not getting your attention, thank you. You stated that a proverb in Kinyarwanda that says, umwana wundi abisha inkondo. Am I right? Are you familiar with something that says, fata umwana wese nk'uwawe? Are you?
Can I answer?
I'll give you time, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, so I just stated, fata umwana wese nk'uwawe. Just because you don't have a family doesn't mean you shouldn't feel that you belong in a family. Yeah, so where should I start? Yeah, so again, you went too far away with the motion where you brought in depression. I don't know where depression comes in this subject. We are clearly stating teenage pregnancies, not depression. Thank you very much. Yeah, so there is also a government program that says Tumurere mu muryango. They're clearly talking about a child. Clearly talking about a child. Tumurere mu muryango. So, and yeah, I guess I have that in mind. Thank you very much.
Your question before it.
Sorry?
Your question before it.
I asked you if you are familiar with something that says Fata umwana wese nk'uwawe.
Yeah, to reply to that, I already know that, but knowing that or if that program is on, it doesn't mean everyone follows it, you know. There are many programs that we are, as Rwanda,
so
we
I
are
got your
taking
point.
before.
I got your point. Not everyone takes it as their own priority, right? So to defend this is why we're taking it to primary schools, to Isiwo, to anyone that is around a child. Make them feel at home. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. The opposition side, I don't know, but I think you got this wrong. We didn't deny taking this subject to families and primary schools. It can also be taken into universities, you know, because also there are teenagers. But we said it should be a mandatory subject for secondary schools. You know why? That's where we find the largest part of teenagers. And I heard you were talking about 11-year child, right? That's not even a teen. And I don't think it's a very rare case finding such a child having the ability to give birth, like Darina said. Let me first give you some minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. So first and foremost, here we're not dealing with rare cases. As an 11-year-old, it is really rare to find them getting pregnant. That's first. And generally speaking, who gets pregnant? Young girls who get in their period. That's first. Second, who are those girls? Where are they found in secondary schools? Since they're teenagers. That was my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Darina. Wait.
Okay.
And Queen, I heard you were just talking about how you had this parental control. I agree, some other kids do. But let me tell you, do you think a secondary child and a primary child have that freedom? They're not free on the same level, you know. When you're in secondary, your parents are trusting you to be grown so you can do some decisions for yourself. But for primary children, they're really under control of their parents. Right? So that's why this education should be mandatory for the secondary children, because they don't have even that, they don't have that parental control like how the primary children do. And let me tell you, we didn't deny everything you said. Taking this subject in primary, it's very nice, it's very nice, but it should be mandatory, it should be emphasized in secondary, because most of the cases are found between 15 and 19-year-old teenagers, and those are mainly found in schools. So that's the reason why we think this should be taken in secondary. And you were talking about igiti kigororwa kikiri gito, but also kids in teenagers in secondary are not that grown. They're still young. They can also be bagororwa, you know. So, and also the future generation, as you were saying about the primary, them also are the future generation. And those children in secondary, they're going to be teachers, they're going to be parents, and they're going to become the leaders. So with that education, which is emphasized in secondary, they can take it to their communities. Like you told us that you are representative of young people in your village. Yes, that role can be given to a child in primary. You know why? Because they don't have your thoughts, they don't have that great mind that you have. So that's why we think this should be emphasized in secondary. Thank you. Support.
Thank you very much. You just said I was off topic when talking about the depression thing. Let me please link that thing. I wanted to say that most cases, as in most problems, don't come to kids who go to school. Who don't go to school. but those who go to school also can face those problems. So as they say that kids who don't go to school don't get those courses or whatever, that means they can face those problems. But also, I wanted to remind you that it was an example. It was an example that depression is also a thing which people in secondary school meet. And that doesn't mean that it's because they don't have education, you know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelia. Thank you very much, both sides, I mean the proposition and the opposition side, for such an amazing discussion, for such an amazing debate. Well, if I was a judge, it could be so hard for me, but I could proudly say both sides are winners. Yes? So you guys don't want to accept this? Yeah, both sides are winners, right? Yeah. So this is the reason I said both sides are winners. I would say one side is a loser if there was anyone supporting that a teenage pregnancy should just be left there. And since we all do agree to the fact that it is, you know, an alarming issue in our society as of today regarding, you know, the statistics you all just mentioned about, and saying that it's a role of everyone in the Rwandan society to, you know, bring our hands together and try to deal with the issue, you know, try to cut down, you know, and reduce the numbers of teenage pregnancies, you know, around, is such an important thing, which is why I say both sides, the opposition and the proposition, are the winners. So, bravo to ourselves, right? All right, and we finally come to the end of our discussion, but you know, as I just mentioned at the beginning, these are the contestants in Miss Rwanda 2022, and of course, among these, one of them is going to be crowned on the 19th of March, that will be on Saturday. So you just heard all the thoughts, the views, and more that is yet to come on the last day of the competition. So all I can just say is that stay tuned and, you know, expect more. Expect a lot of beautiful things on this, you know, grand night of 19th of March. So let's meet then. And until next time, stay safe and goodbye.